Welcome back, everybody. This is the Sports Degenerates Show. I am your host, Frank Wible, and for today, we're going to go over Week 1 of the NFL season, who I think is going to win, and we're going to go over the spreads and see what teams I think are going to win you money. Before we get started, please follow me on Instagram for all live breaking news, as well as my bets of the day. My Instagram is at sports_degenerate_show. The handle will be in the description down below. Let's get started. So I'm recording this on Wednesday. Tomorrow night, the NFL season kicks off. It will be a rematch of the AFC divisional playoff game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans. This will be Houston at Kansas City. Right now, Kansas City is sitting at 9.5-point favorites if you were to go over to FanDuel right now. Not sponsored by FanDuel. Kansas City, 9.5. I think that's just a lock. I think you're going to look at Houston and DeAndre Hopkins, or Deshaun Watson without DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know if their offense is going to keep up. I think Kansas City is just rolling. You could say maybe they have a Super Bowl hangover. I don't think so. There hasn't been any live tackling. Guys are kind of slow. You're expecting an offense that was already clicking on all cylinders for a while now, for years really, is just going to continue to do it, and Houston is just going to struggle. So I think Kansas City minus 9.5, absolutely a lock. Moving on to Sunday, the 1 o'clock games. We got the Bears at the Detroit Lions. I'm taking the Lions plus the Lions as 3-point favorites. This is just too easy for me. I think the Lions are going to surprise some people this year. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team because I don't believe in Matt Patricia. But offensively, the Lions are just going to have way too much firepower for Mitch Trubisky and the Bears. Part of me believes that Matt Nagy is starting Mitch Trubisky. Trubisky won the quarterback competition between him and Nick Foles in Chicago. Part of me believes that Nagy's just doing this just to, he's not very good. See, look, week 1, he's not very good. Okay, bye. And just finally cut losses for any of the other Bears fans that still want to hold on hope that maybe Trubisky could be as good as Deshaun Watson and Pat Mahomes. It's never going to happen. So, Lions, 3-point favorites. I'm going that way. We got the Cleveland Browns with new head coach Kevin Stefanski at the Baltimore Ravens. The line, the Ravens minus 7.5. I'm saying the Ravens are going to win, but I'm taking the Browns with the points. Plus 7.5 for the Browns. I think Stefanski's going to get that offense looking better than it did. Defensively, the Browns are still not a terrible football team. I do. I think this is going to be a close game. A lot of the AFC North games tend to be close, which is kind of weird when you look at it. Is the AFC North, when they go at it, and it's a slugfest. And I think this is going to be another one. I do believe the Ravens will win this game, but don't be surprised. The Browns covered that 7.5-point spread, especially that half point. That half point is big. We're going to move on. Packers at Vikings. Packers are 2.5-point dogs on the road in Minnesota. Oh, it's the Packers all day. Without a doubt, I would say the Packers not only are going to win this game, but definitely take the Packers plus 2.5. I think the Packers are just a better team. They did not have a great draft, but Minnesota loses Stephon Diggs, which you got to think kind of, as well as Kevin Stefanski, who's the offensive coordinator, you got to think kind of dulls the teeth a little bit of that Vikings offense. As well as Justin Jefferson, from reports I've heard, has not had a great camp in Minnesota. There's been conflicting reports. Some are like, no, he's just a rookie, but he's looking pretty good. I've gotten others that are like, he just looks slow. Like, he just looks like he is struggling to pick up the offense and pick up where he's supposed to be. Maybe that increases in game time. Maybe he's just not a great practice guy. Who knows? But for right now, Packers plus 2.5, I like it. We're going into Duval County now. Colts at Jacksonville. Jacksonville, 7.5-point underdogs at home. Do I take the Colts with the points? No, the Colts are definitely going to win this game, but I'm taking Jacksonville. And here's the reason why. One of my issues with this offseason is you have a lot of offenses with quarterbacks who are new. The Colts being one of them. Philip Rivers is brand new to this team. Now, I don't care how many practice reps you have. It's not a game rep. And a lot of the times what you see is in the preseason, you're really missing a full game of quarters action. You have 1 quarter in the first game, 2 quarters in the second game, a whole half in the third game, and then the fourth game is, you just sit out and do nothing. You're missing a full game to a game and a quarter of playing action. Well, I think that's what you're going to see here is the Colts are going to struggle offensively initially with Rivers trying to get on point. You also have Jonathan Taylor, who's a new running back, splitting time with Marlon Mack. Michael Pittman Jr. is a new wide receiver who is expected to be number 2 wide receiver with T.Y. Hilton. I think the Colts are going to start out slow. Jacksonville is going to start out kind of how you always see one of those bad teams start out week one, reminiscent of the Redskins against the Eagles. I can call them the Redskins because they were the Redskins last year. The Redskins versus the Eagles week one last year, where they just came out, storming the Eagles, and then eventually it just evens itself out. You see that with week one sometimes where you're kind of head scratching at halftime and then the other team figures it out. I think this is what's going to happen here, where the Colts they'll win it in the second half. I would definitely take the Jags first line spread, but I would also take the Jags plus 7.5. I think this is going to be maybe a 5-point game or something like that, where the Colts just come back, take over, but they don't blow them out and then just run the clock out at the end of the game. Other than that, we also have the Raiders at Carolina. The Raiders are 3-point favorites. My biggest question is why is the Raiders now in Las Vegas? I almost called them Oakland. Why are the Vegas Raiders starting on the road? Big, pretty stadium in Vegas. Why the hell would they start their inaugural season in Vegas on the road? My only guess is that the NFL was worried, maybe the stadium's not done in time, so we're going to have the Raiders play on the road real quick just to get any last-minute details worked out. But you'd think the Raiders game in Vegas would have been one of the top games of the week, unless they're trying to do the Sunday night game the late Sunday game, the Sunday night game with the Rams and the Cowboys, and also I don't know. I just think the Raiders should be at the home team. So the Raiders 3-point favorites. I just think that's a lock. Carolina offensively they've got Christian McCaffrey. I don't believe in Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater's offense is that good. He's a game manager. He's not going to turn the ball over, but he's not going to dominate the game. Matt Rule's turnarounds in college have always been the same. He builds the defense up and then works on the offense, and then they start to get good. If you look at their draft, I think they had 9 picks, and they all went to the defensive side of the football. So they're going to be a decent defensive team, I think, especially early on. But no, the Raiders are I think they're going to win probably by at least a touchdown. So Raiders -3 is a lock. Just what the hell are they doing on the road? We've got the Dolphins going to Foxborough to play the Patriots. Dolphins are 6.5-point underdogs in this game. Cam Newton's first game in New England. It's going to be just like the Colts in Jacksonville. It's a new quarterback. Also, Dolphins aren't a terrible team, and the Patriots lost a lot. Half the Patriots' defense has opted out this year, so I'm not really a big believer in them. And it's hard to bet on Fitzpatrick because sometimes he just drops a clunker, but I don't believe in the Patriots this year at all. And 6.5 is a lot of points for me. I think the Patriots could win this game, but I'm actually going straight Dolphins outright. I think Dolphins win immediately, and not all is great in Patriot land, and people freak out, but definitely the Dolphins plus 6.5. We'll head up to New York. We got the Jets going against the Bills in Buffalo. Buffalo 6.5-point favorites. Buffalo is a lock to cover 6.5. Adding Stephon Diggs, the weather isn't bad yet in Buffalo to just cut the ball down with the wind. I fully expect Josh Allen to just be slinging the ball to Stephon Diggs. You're going to see a lot of go deep, and it's going to be it's going to be a fun team to watch between Singletary, Diggs, and John Brown. They just have speed, and they have a quarterback who, while sketchy sometimes, a little inconsistent, he can throw the ball far. He can throw it out of a stadium if he wants to. I know Pat Mahomes is great and all, but I will argue that Josh Allen has the strongest arm in the NFL, hands down. So I very well expect Josh Allen to just be launching a football. Sean McDermott comes from the Andy Reid coaching tree, so don't expect him to just kind of sit back and run the ball on Sunday. Bills -6.5 over the Jets. Definitely. Next up, we have the Eagles at the Washington football team, the team formerly known as the Washington Redskins. Eagles are 5.5-point favorites. This is an interesting one because I'm pretty sure the Eagles spread is similar to what it was last year in the Skins backdoor covered. Again, I call them the Skins because it was last year. I got the Eagles 5.5. I think the Eagles defense is much better than it was last year. Their pass defense, their secondary is entirely revamped. The only starter on that secondary that returned is Rodney McLeod. Malcolm Jenkins is gone. Rasul Douglas is gone. Ronald Darby is gone. Sidney Jones is gone. They're all gone. So now you have Darius Slay, Avonte Maddox, Clavon LeBlanc, Craig James, Nickel Roby Colvin. They're all much better, especially against the pass. Their front seven's just going to dominate the run, as we know. Linebackers are going to be a little iffy, but I don't really believe in Dwayne Haskins. They're learning a new scheme, just trying to figure it out. 5.5, I would go with the Eagles. The Eagles' offense is also mostly healthy. They're missing Brandon Brooks as your right guard. Jason Peters slid back to left tackle. So you're missing your right guard. Hopefully that'll hold up. You should be okay. Jalen Reagor probably isn't going to play, but I don't think, and neither is Alshon Jeffrey, but apparently Arcega-Whiteside's killing it in training camp, and Jackson's coming back. You also still have John Hightower, who they drafted, as well as Greg Ward, who played well. Take the Eagles minus 5.5. I think you're going to see a new offense for the Eagles where it's built and predicated on speed, and I think they're going to use that speed. And finally, the last game of the 1 o'clock docket, you've got the Seattle Seahawks in Atlanta versus the Falcons. I'm taking the Seahawks, and I'm taking the Seahawks minus 1.5. Now, mind you, if you're one of the people that watch this show, if you do not know me personally, you will not know this fact. I am, in my career at gambling, and I've kept track, 3-18 when betting the Seattle Seahawks. Not just on them or against them, just in general. That team hates me, and I never win. So I would take Seattle minus 1.5 here, which means Atlanta is going to blow the doors off them. Sometimes Seattle drops clunkers on the road. It is a road game. But I just like Seattle minus 1.5. I don't think that Falcons defense is going to stop Russell Wilson. That receiving core is great. But also, Seattle's secondary is no longer what it was. Atlanta has an insane offense. I'm not certain what the over-under is of this game. I haven't put it on here. I'd probably take the over, would be the safest bet. But again, it's a Seattle game, so I'm wrong. So the final score would be 6-3. But Seattle minus 1.5, it just makes sense. It just sounds right. First of the 4:05 games, we got the Chargers going to Cincinnati for Joe Burrow's first game. Chargers are 3.5-point favorites. So you have Joe Burrow. Would have been really cool. Justin Herbert started. You would have 2 rookie quarterbacks facing off, 2 top, I think 6. I think Chargers picked 6. So you'd have 2 top 6 quarterbacks facing off. If you don't, you get Tyrod Taylor versus Joe Burrow. I like the Chargers minus 3.5. A very, very underrated defense in LA. Just great D linemen. Really, their edge rushers are insane. I think Bosa is really going to just tee off on Joe Burrow, and I think Burrow is going to struggle. I don't think this game is going to be close, quite frankly. Chargers minus 3.5 just sounds like a lock to me. And it's simply, I don't think the Chargers offense is going to put up a ton of points. I just don't think the Bengals offense is going to work. I think their offense is going to get flustered. It's going to get stifled. I don't believe that Joe Burrow is going to be a bust. I think he'll figure it out, but this is just one of those things where I think the Chargers defense, especially with a front four that can get pressure without blitzing, is going to cause a lot of issues for Joe Burrow. I think he's going to try to extend some plays like he did at LSU, and it just won't work. He's just going to end up throwing interceptions, getting sacked, maybe taking a few fumbles. Defensively, I think the Chargers are going to dominate this game. So Chargers 3.5. I like it. Next 4 o'clock game, the Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are 7-point favorites. This one's weird. This is a weird game because you very well could say there's a lot of people that have a dark horse team. Now you have that extra playoff team. People have the Cardinals. People in the know are saying, hey, don't sleep on the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals played the 49ers tough last year. That they did. There's no doubt in my mind. They played the 49ers tough last year. They did not have DeAndre Hopkins when they were playing them tough. I'm going to go with, and I'm going to actually change my mind here because on my script here it says 49ers minus 7 was what I'm taking. I'm taking the Cardinals plus 7. The more I think about it, By the way, I think the Niners are going to win this game, but I think it's going to be a close game. I'm interested to see how the 49ers bounce back after a rough year. I'm not a big believer in Jimmy Garoppolo, or a rough year, a rough end of the season losing the Super Bowl. Obviously, they never a rough year. They went to the Super Bowl. A rough end of the season losing the Super Bowl. I'm interested to see them bouncing back. Their defense is still dominant. However, the Cardinals have weapons. You know, you have Kenyon Drake as your starting running back. You have DeAndre Hopkins. You have Larry Fitzgerald. That's some offensive firepower right there. You know, obviously, the only question is going to be the Cardinals' offensive line is still not great, and the 49ers' pass rush is great, which gives them the edge in the win. But the 49ers' offense is not great. And I think the Cardinals, who don't have a great defense, are going to keep it close enough that they won't lose by 7. I could see them losing by 6, but I think they will cover that 7-point spread. I think this is the best game of the week. The Bucs going to New Orleans to play the Saints. We have the matchup of the 40-year-old quarterbacks. I don't know if this is true, but I would totally believe that this is a matchup of the oldest quarterbacks ever to compete against each other at the same time. It's the Saints are 3.5-point favorites, and I'm taking the Saints. And this is similar to what I said about the Colts and the Patriots. You have a new team, and this one is entirely brand new. This offense has way too many new moving pieces. You have Leonard Fournette now coming in, not really sure what his role is, if Ronald Jones is the starter or not at running back. You have Tom Brady coming in. Well, he's learned an entire new offense, and a difficult offense at that. It is known that Bruce Arians' offense for first-time quarterbacks, you know, hit their first year in Bruce Arians' offense, they tend to struggle a little bit. I don't know if Brady's going to struggle that much, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him miss a few passes. He's got to develop a rapport with O.J. Howard, with Mike Evans, with Chris Godwin. Obviously, Gronk is there. In what capacity, I don't know. He was kind of declining before he retired. Then he retired. Now he came back for one more year. I'm going to go with the Saints minus 3.5. And I don't think it's going to be a blowout. But I had said in a previous video, I think that the Bucs could very well go 3-3 in their first 6 and then start to figure it out offensively. And I think this is what we're going to see. Offensively, they're going to, I don't want to say struggle, but they're going to be slightly off. They just need to fine-tune it a little bit, and they'll be fine. The Saints offense, however, does not need to be fine-tuned. They're running on full cylinders. They know what they're doing. The Saints are going forward in a year where it's expected this is probably going to be their last run at glory. I'd go with the Saints minus 3.5. They're just the more polished team together. And then lastly, to open up LA's new stadium, we have the Cowboys at the Rams in LA. Cowboys minus 3. I'm taking the Cowboys as 3-point favorites. The Rams are not a good team. Just before recording this video, the Rams just announced that they had signed Jalen Ramsey to a ton of money, over like $100 million. That now makes the Rams have given the most money to a running back, a wide receiver, a quarterback, a cornerback, and a D lineman in consecutive years. Holy hell. That team started the day $400,000 over the cap and somehow signed a guy to $120 million. Don't know how that worked, but sure, whatever. Go for it, Los Angeles. Whatever you're trying to do. Cowboys minus 3 is just, I think this one's guaranteed. Dallas tends to start slow at the beginning of the year. Their offense is going to be a little shaky. You have a new head coach, but they just have too many weapons. The Rams defense was not what it was supposed to be last year. Cowboys minus 3 is just too good to pass up. And I hate Dallas, but it's too good to pass up. I think Cowboys, honestly, I can see the Cowboys just rolling over the Rams. I just don't think the Rams are that good of a team. Jared Goff is not a good quarterback. You have a rookie running back in Cam Akers, who's probably going to be your starting running back. You lost Brandon Cooks, and now it's Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, who are good receivers, but your O-line's aging. I just don't think this one's going to be close. Moving on to Monday, the first Monday night game, which both these games, I'm going to say the same thing. The first one's at 7:15. How in the hell is this a Monday night football game? The Pittsburgh Steelers at the New York Giants. I mean, I'm just happy that the Cowboys and the Giants aren't playing each other on Sunday Night Football again to start the year. But of course, the Cowboys have to be in the Sunday night game the day before. Steelers at New York. Like I said, I don't get why it's a one of the Monday night games. The Steelers, obviously, I'm going to take the Steelers to win minus 5.5. Also taking the Steelers. The Steelers offense struggled last year. And they were a good team. And Mike Tomlin obviously should be credited as one of the best coaches in the NFL. Last year, between Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges, they were horrible. But that defense really held them on. They almost made the playoffs with that defense. You got to think with Big Ben, it holds on. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm really hoping, though, and I have no vested interest in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm really hoping Ben Roethlisberger does not go out there, try to throw 2 passes, and on that second pass, his entire elbow just blows out again. I really don't want to see that. I hope he stays healthy. I think Pittsburgh could be a hell of a team in the AFC and a sleeper team in the AFC with how good their defense is and how good their offense can be. Steelers minus 5.5. Quite frankly, I don't even think if Big Ben was playing or wasn't playing, I wouldn't take this anyway. I just don't think the Giants have the firepower yet. Or the O-line yet. I know they attacked the O-line in the draft and the off-season. Good for them, but it's still not going to be enough. Steelers minus 5.5. Book it. And at 10:15, another one of those okay, I guess. Not a great game, but I'd watch it. The Titans at Denver. The Broncos are 1.5-point favorites, and I'm taking the Broncos. The Titans, I think, are a team that people are overestimating this year. And here's why I say this. The Titans have never been anything more than an average team. Last year, they were a 9-7 team that went into the playoffs. They beat a fading Patriots team, which caught everybody's attention. Then they beat the Baltimore Ravens with the same game plan that the Chargers had beaten them in the playoffs the year before. So was it great, or did it just fall properly on them? However, then they ran into the Chiefs and just got buzzsawed. Denver is a team I don't think people give enough credit to. Vic Fangio is a good coach. I like him. He's really working well with that defense. And Drew Lock came in the second part of the year, and a lot of people didn't notice because, quite frankly, Denver was already out of it by the time Drew Lock came in. But Denver looked good. Drew Lock looked good. Not to mention now they added Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler to that offense. I think Hamler's injured right now, so I'm not certain if he's playing. I know Jerry Jeudy's playing. But that Broncos offense also has Deshaun Hamilton and Cortland Sutton, so you have 2 Penn State receivers out there. Now, I'm taking the Broncos plus 1.5. I'd take the Broncos outright, to be quite honest with you. Especially, it's in Denver. Tennessee likes to drag out games. I don't know if Derrick Henry really wants to carry the ball 35 times in Denver. I'm going to go with the Broncos. They got Melvin Gordon now on that offense as well. The Broncos outright, not only just 1.5, but outright. So, quick run through. For those of you looking to bet, Chiefs minus 9.5, take it. Lions minus 3, Browns plus 7.5, Packers plus 2.5, Jags plus 7.5, Raiders minus 3, Dolphins plus 6.5, Bills minus 6.5, Eagles minus 5.5, Seahawks minus 1.5, Chargers minus 3.5, 49ers minus 7, Saints minus 3.5, Cowboys minus 3, Steelers minus 5.5, and the Broncos plus 1.5. I'm hoping next week to actually have a board somewhere on one of my shoulders to say what my overall rate, my record is this year with just picks and my betting record. It's probably going to be a bad idea, but we'll see. But hey, if you like what you saw, if you enjoyed the content, maybe you didn't, maybe you disagree, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think down below. Do you think maybe one of these teams that I'm saying there's no way they cover? Am I missing something? Is there a secret key to this team that I'm just completely missing? Follow my Instagram at sports_degenerate_show. The link will be in the description below. I post breaking news on Instagram that I can't record a video for right away. I also post in my stories my bets of the day, things I think are a lock. Usually I do pretty well. If you lose money, don't blame me, please. But this is Sports Degenerates Show. I am your host, as always, Frank Wible, and thank you for stopping by.